My name is Margo Okazawa-Rey. I am a feminist. I consider myself a transnational feminist because I'm based in the US, but I work in Northeast Asia, that is Japan, Korea, Okinawa, and I work in Palestine. So in those three locations, I'm able to connect the issues I most care about, which have to do with addressing questions of militarism, military violence against women in particular, and the presence of US bases, most especially in Asia and the US, and the impacts of that presence and really the bigger institution of militarism. My feminist journey has been quite amazing. I'd like to share one concrete example through the work of the network called the International Women's Network Against Militarism. The group consists of people from Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Guam, Puerto Rico, Philippines, and the US. And one of the things that came up very early on is this question of language. The English dominant people, of course, get to rise up and speak more. And how can we have this network if they're going to be, for example, inequality structural around language? So one thing we did was we clearly stated in our work that language interpretation and language translation are political works. They're political projects. They're about power and they're about sort of trying to equalize power among a group of people working transnationally or multilingually. And the second thing we did was the interpreters in our groups from the different countries decided to get together and to come up with our networks our own feminist activist glossary. And from each language perspective, they discussed what were the key concepts in their own language they wanted to incorporate and not just use English concepts and translate or interpret them to every other language. The process of talking through the concept, then coming up with the closest equivalent, right, was transformative, I think, for the interpreters, as well as a process that enabled those in the room and then later those of us who were using the glossary to really think about language in a really different way and think about interpretation and translation in a very different way. That, for me, is one of the wonderful feminist realities.